PCC feedback is not ACC feedback with bigger words. The temptation is to take the precision language from Module 7 and make it sound more sophisticated. That's not what PCC feedback requires. PCC feedback has a structural element ACC feedback doesn't need. Without it, the coach reads your feedback, hears your coaching is good, and has no idea what to change. That structural element is the bridge sentence. This video is about how to build it and the 4 patterns that undermine it. The key distinction: at ACC level, the behavioral statements give you a shared language. The gap between current level and standard is measurable in the numbers. At PCC level, the gap isn't measurable the same way. A coach may be demonstrating C3 at ACC level every session and genuinely not see how it differs from PCC level C3. The behavior exists. The depth isn't there yet. A bridge sentence names what the coach is doing and what PCC would look like. Without it, the invisible gap stays invisible. A bridge sentence names 2 things in one move. What is happening? The coach's current level, often ACC level demonstration that is genuinely competent. You're naming it accurately, not dismissing it. What PCC would look like: the developmental target made concrete. Not abstract advice about going deeper, but a specific description of PCC level behavior given what you observed. The bridge makes the invisible gap visible. A coach asking surface level open-ended questions cannot perceive how they differ from PCC level questions that move beyond current thinking. A complete bridge sentence annotated. You consistently partner with the client to establish clear session agreements, markers 3.1 and 3.2, at PCC level. I notice the agreements focus on what the client wants to accomplish. A PCC level extension: also explore what's meaningful, marker 3.3, and what the client believes needs to happen, marker 3.4. What might have happened if you'd asked, why does this matter to you right now? Notice the structure: acknowledgement with markers, gap with markers, hypothetical that makes the gap tangible, reflection prompt, an invitation to the coach's own thinking, 4 moves, 1 paragraph. The strength section of a complete feedback example. At timestamp 9:25, you explored the client's word stuck by asking what enough would look like. Marker 6.2, PCC level active listening. You heard the possibility embedded in the constraint word. The client's response opened a direction neither of you expected. At timestamp 14:20, you noticed the client's energy shift and named it without directing where to take it. Markers 6.4 and 7.5. 2 instances. 1 observation held with non-attachment might be coincidence. 2 instances is an emerging pattern. PCC level strength feedback. Specific timestamps, named markers, reasoning for why this rises to PCC rather than ACC level. The growth area where the bridge sentence does its work. At 15:30, you shared a pattern. The client qualifies every success. Strong observation. At 15:45, you followed with, have you thought about why you do that? That follow-up attached your observation to a specific direction. PCC marker 7.5 requires sharing with no attachment, then inviting exploration openly. The PCC move: share the pattern, then ask what comes up for you. Same observation, open invitation, no direction. I observed this at 15:45 and again at 22:10. 2 instances is the signal to name it as a developmental pattern, not an isolated moment. The reflection prompt closes the bridge. Listen back to the 1530 to 16 exchange. 2 questions follow. What do you notice about the difference between your observation and your follow-up question? This invites the coach to see it for themselves, to generate their own perception of what happened, not receive your analysis. What might have happened if you'd held the space? The coach doesn't need to imagine an abstract concept of non-attachment. They can listen back to the actual moment and ask, what if I'd stopped after sharing the pattern? The reflection prompt hands ownership back to the coach. 4 anti-patterns. First, level mismatch up, calling ACC level work PCC. What it sounds like, your questioning was at PCC level, but the questions were open-ended and stayed within current thinking. Competent ACC level questioning by marker 7.1, not PCC level questioning by markers 7.2 and 7.3. Why it's harmful. Technically encouraging, developmentally harmful. The coach walks away with an inflated self-assessment. The gap they never knew existed travels with them toward credentialing. Name the level accurately every time. The kindest seeming harm is still harm. Second anti-pattern, level mismatch down, evaluating PCC coaching against MCC standards. What it sounds like, you should be integrating all competencies simultaneously. That is an MCC expectation. At PCC level, the standard is depth and consistency, not fluid integration as one unified practice. Mismatched standards create 2 problems. The coach's real PCC progress becomes invisible, and trust in the feedback process erodes. When the coach can't reconcile your feedback with the PCC standard, they stop trusting your observations. Know the level you are evaluating against. Third anti-pattern, marker stuffing, citing 15 markers in a 500-word feedback. When everything is flagged, the coach cannot identify priorities. The developmental signal collapses into noise, and marker stuffing reveals something about the mentor. When you've done the prioritization work, you know which 2 or 3 competencies represent the most leveraged developmental opportunities right now. The rule, 4 to 5 marker references maximum in any piece of written feedback. That constraint forces the prioritization the coach needs. It forces the harder question, not what did I observe, but what matters most for this coach's development at this stage. Fourth anti-pattern, prescribing PCC moves, where mentor coaching becomes consulting. Prescribing, try exploring the client's identity next time. The coach may copy it, but the learning is borrowed, not internalized. They don't understand why the move matters or how to generate it from their own listening. Inviting. When the client said, I feel invisible, what was happening for you as the coach? That invites the coach to revisit their own process, what they noticed, what they chose, what they might have done differently. Prescribing produces a coach who copies your moves. Inviting produces a coach who develops their own. One operational rule before writing feedback for the Unit 8.4 assignment. Complete the competency review form first. Write the feedback second. Never reverse that sequence. The competency review form structures your developmental priorities before you've committed to any language. It surfaces the patterns. It shows where the strongest developmental leverage is. The written feedback distills those priorities. 4 or 5 markers, bridge sentence for the growth area, reflection prompt to close. Writing feedback before completing the form skips the evidence step, and it shows in the output. Complete the form, then write.